Okay, guys, how we doing today? Well, this is probably the one really seriously controversial story for today. And I know a certain someone, namely a guy by the name of Ben Moen, or Ben Moan, or however you say that, is going to get after me. But you know what? I'm ready for you, motherfucker. This is from RT, Ruptly. And it says, Bum bum bum! Greta Thunberg wins Time Person of the Year. It's a symptom of a sick and confused world when adults make children their leaders. I said it. And I also agree with it. The willingness of adults to listen to teenagers rather than themselves is a sign of deep societal crisis in the West. Edward Felsenthal, the editor-in-chief of Time, boasted that 16-year-old Greta Thunberg is the magazine's youngest choice to be named Person of the Year. I was not the least bit surprised. By now it would have been an upset if the headline-making environmentalist failed to reap yet another publicity reward, but still alarmed, as I try not to stammer. Gone are the days when Time chose adult men, like Martin Luther King or Winston Churchill, as the magazine's Person of the Year. Adolf Hitler, too, oddly enough. The award is for the most influential, not necessarily the most virtuous public figure. These days the accent is on youth, and Greta Thunberg personifies the most acclaimed wisdom of the child. That is why 3 Norwegian MPs nominated Thunberg for the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize. The transformation of a teen schoolgirl into the global conscious for climate change is driven by the imperative of reversing the relation between adults and children. Throughout the Western world, the authority of adulthood is in crisis. Adulthood is increasingly associated with negative attributes, and grown-ups feel less and less able to provide guidance to young people. The flip side of the erosion of adult authority is the tendency to look to young people for solutions and answers. That is why Western society's depreciation of adulthood coexists with adulation of the supposed wisdom of children. Out of the mouths of babes, am I right? It's not like life experience is what creates wisdom in the first place, right? This is so backwards. And they're going to argue, they're going to be like, oh, well, she's getting the information straight from the horse's mouth. She's echoing the scientists. Yes, so what if she gets her knowledge from scientists? That doesn't mean she understands the knowledge from scientists. Okay? There's a huge difference between knowing something and understanding something. This is what we call wisdom. How much wisdom can a 16-year-old girl possibly have? Let me tell you about, what I remember like being a teenager when I was 16. Did I think I was the bee's knees and thought I knew everything? Of course I did. Every 16 to 17-year-old does. Does that mean that they do? Of course not. The disparity between what I knew about the world and what I actually understood about the world, it was somewhere between not at all and only a tiny little bit. And I imagine for her it's probably the same too. She's a tool. She's a propaganda tool of the climate change fanaticists who want this hysteria. And get this, once she ran out of environmentalist talking points, she defaulted to talking points that originated with the far left. She literally went to patriarchy, colonization, white privilege, when she's one of the most white privileged people of all, herself. A hypocrite, in other words. She's talking about, how dare you stole my childhood, when she gets to go and have experiences and do things that most kids never will. How hilarious is that? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean to a child, and I think people who are mean to her need to get a life. But the truth hurts. The truth, no matter what, you put yourself out there, you're going to be open to criticism. I'm putting myself out here making videos on the internet. And I accept criticism. Let it come my way. Say what you want. I'll take it all. Give me all you got. Lambaste me. I'll survive. And so will Greta Thunberg. She deserves criticism for her obvious character flaws, which she needs to grow out of. But she probably never will, because if she continues to be an overly emotional person and never outgrows her childishness, she'll always be like this. Adults need to take the reins back from the children. Period. But arguably the most grotesque manifestation of this trend is the spectacle of politicians and dignitaries intently listening to Greta at high-profile international meetings. A thunderous standing ovation is guaranteed by the mere appearance of this symbol of an infantilized political culture. In making her Time magazine's Person of the Year offering her a platform at meeting of world leaders, children are in effect invited to condemn the older generation. And Greta has been more than ready to rise to the occasion. The theme of adult irresponsibility has been her most common refrain. Appearing in her lecture to the United Nations Climate Change Summit as far back as a year ago, and in every major speech she has made this year. Since our leaders are behaving like children, we will have to take the responsibility they should have taken long ago, she said last December. We have to understand what the older generation has dealt to us, what mess they have created that we have to clean up and live with. Green demonstrators have readily embraced the narrative of adult guilt. Posters declaring "you'll die of old age, we'll die of climate change," or "I'm ditching school because you are ditching our future," point the finger of blame at slothful adults who are supposedly responsible for the imminent early deaths of their offspring. Recently, a placard screaming "Adults ruin everything, stop Brexit," and an anti-Brexit demonstration indicated the spirit of adult blaming is not confined to the problem of planetary destruction. Encouraging children to revolt against their irresponsible elders is the inevitable outcome of adult blaming. This is why the head of politics at Cambridge University could call for children as young as 6 to be given the vote. Professor David Runciman advocated this proposal on the grounds that young people were massively outnumbered by the elderly, that this created a democratic crisis that had to be put right. Welcome to Backwards World, where they want to give 6-year-olds the vote, and 16-year-old teenagers from Scandinavia are telling you what you should do. Society has been completely flipped on its head. And you don't think this is going to end up resulting in society as we know it just collapsing all at once? Eventually? A slow, agonizing death that we are in the midst of right now? But still, as the article goes forward, you know that society is in deep trouble when 6-year-olds are assigned the responsibility for determining society's future. But this is not just about battle lines being drawn up according to generational divides. Greta and other unspoilt youth idols provide cover for the anything but innocent elites who could hide that they lack the courage of their conviction, or the ability to get others to follow them behind the fiery rhetoric of youth. Who needs grown-ups to lead the nation when children are ready to put right the mistakes created by old people? But that might not be quite the optimistic sentiment as it is presented as. By Professor Frank Friedel, a sociologist and author. His book, How Fear Works, The Culture of Fear in the 21st Century, is published by Bloomsbury. A professional sociologist is telling us this. RT is not just talking out their ass, and neither am I. I've been seeing this shit for some time now. And I'm an introspective philosopher. I spend a lot of time watching and making observations of myself, of other people, and the environment, and putting it all into perspective. Because that's what philosophers do. We create perspective based on real-life experience. I'm sorry, but she's just a teenager. She doesn't know any better. She's a child. You put a child up on a stage, what do you expect? But the truth of the matter is, it's not that we are denying that climate change isn't real. We are saying that your climate change isn't real. Because when you strip it down, you take away the arguments, it's just the same Al Gore inconvenient truth, anthropogenic nonsense that it always was. All you did was just reskin it and create some new arguments in support of it. That's all you did. And it's not that 97% of scientists agree with climate change. They disagree with your climate change. It's natural. It's happened before. Don't just look at the meteorological data. Look at the fossil record data as well. It's part of a natural process of the Earth that has happened before and will happen again. What, did you think the Earth always looked like this? Or that it was going to continue to look like this forever? Of course not. It's evolution. Things go through phases of development. It's just how life works. If it stands still and never changes, it dies. There's even an unconscious recognition of this fact when they declare Latin a dead language. Why do they declare it a dead language? Because it never changes. It has not evolved. No new words, no new definitions, no new pronunciations, zip nada. That's how life works. If it doesn't change and it stands still, it dies. Climate change is perfectly natural. It's happened before, it'll happen again. If you want the human race to survive, bunker down, find a way to protect yourself, and ride it out. Any attempt at trying to prevent it is only going to result in failure. You are messing with forces you do not understand. Good day.